Hi, my name is Abhinav Frankel of the SAP Business One product management team, and I would like to introduce you to our new Web Client Analytics functionality. We are going to be looking at the functionality in SAP Business One version 10 patch level 1, according to what's listed in this screen. So this is the Web Client homepage screen, and in the Web Client we have introduced a new concept, a new point of entry and navigation tool for all documents and all master data. And we call this concept a list view. So without further ado, let's now have a look at the list view for the AR invoices. And just open that up. We've got 1156 records in this particular list view. And we can see various fields related to it, the document number, customer code, customer name, and so on. There are currently 8 fields in view. 7 of these fields are non-numeric. One of them, the document total, is numeric. Just bear that in mind for a couple of minutes' time. And we can select as many or as few fields as we wish. There's a total list here of, we currently selected 8 out of 82 here. And we can select fields that either relate to the header records of the AR invoice or the line records. And we can present all this data in 2 formats. One of the formats is a table view, which is what we're currently looking at. And the other format is a chart view. And we're going to predominantly focus on the chart view in this analytics presentation. So let's open that up. And straight up, when we open that up, we see there's a dot in the middle of the screen. That's one single data point identifying that we have 1156 records. And let's just change the chart type from a line chart with one data point, which is a dot, to the stack column chart. And we can see this column shows us the 1156 records. And there's 3 very, very important fields on the left-hand side of the chart. And the first of those fields, I'm going to pull it down to open it, is called the measure field. So this is the measure field. And we'll understand exactly what this means as we go along, as we see some of the charts. Then this is the measure by which the chart is presenting data to us. And we can select the measures from the numeric fields that were selected in the table view. And we only selected one, and that was the document total. And in addition to that, there is this field called the record count. There's the record count option that can be selected as a measure. We're going to keep that one for the moment, and you'll understand what that means as we go along. So the other 2 fields here are called dimension fields, and they show us the other 7 fields that were selected in the table view, the non-numeric fields. And we're going to select the customer code just so you see what's going on here. So we see that the record count is there were 1156 invoices, and now we see the split of the record count by customer, and we see how many invoices per customer. And then let's select the second dimension, and we're going to select the status to identify which of those invoices are open or closed per customer. And as we're looking at it here, we see, wow, there's a real very high percentage of open invoices per customer. We've got a lot of sales ledger work to do here to go and chase our debts. So okay, so we once we've manipulated a view, it might be changing the chart type, changing the measures, the dimensions, and the filters that we'll have a look at in a minute. But we can save any view that we have manipulated as a new view. We're not going to do that now, but what we are going to do is we're going to open up a previous view that I created, one called the sales by item by customer. Let's open that one up. And we see my favorite chart type, the heat map. And what are we looking at here? We're looking at the total sales by item, by customer. And you can see all these blue squares. The really dark blue squares are the favorite items for some specific customers. And it gives us a nice view of our sales spread for the filtered period and so on that we have selected. So let's have a look at, pull down this measure field here, and we can see that this particular view, well, in this view, it was actually based on a selection of all 82 fields. So here we see a list of all the measure fields that are available in the AR invoice list view, and there are many of them. Some of them we note are in gray, grayed out, and some of them are available for selection. And the reason why, I'm not going to go into this in detail now, but the reason why is to prevent data inconsistencies between a selection of header and line records. But we're going to stay with the current measure we selected. Let's have a look at the dimensions as well. Look at all these dimensions. You've got so many dimensions to select from, and including any user definable fields that have been set up with this invoice, with the AR invoice. All the user definable fields, the UDF fields, are available for selection as well as dimensions, as reporting dimensions, chart dimensions. And that applies to the first dimension and also the second dimension. It's got this similar list. Okay, we have a filter that can be set with every single one of these 82 fields. And we've introduced a new filter concept in relation to date filters. And we call this new concept the date offset concept. And we see that the original filter that was set there was a much more complicated formula, and we can of course enter this formula in manually and make it as complex or as simple as we want it to be. But even so, even with a lengthy formula, it is still very easy to set up. And what we're going to do, and I promise you that at the end of this presentation, we're going to go through a proper worked example of setting up a date offset formula, and it is really, really easy to do it. The date offset concept underpins and it marries together with the rest of the charting functionality. As you will see, it's a crucial component of our charting functionality and our analytics functionality within the web client, as we will see. Now I want to show you some interesting chart manipulations. We can open up the chart section to become full screen. And we can change to any chart type we want: pie charts, column charts, line charts. We're going to go for a stack column chart now. Here we have the stack column chart. And we can, as we hover over any data point, we see the data related to that data point. Alternatively, we can select a data point or any set of data points, and for any selected data points, we see the selected total at the top of the screen, and we can look at the details that we have selected. And if we click away, we deselect whatever we selected, we see it blanks out the total at the top. Alternatively, maybe I want to see, here we've got a column related to the rainbow color printer. Let's select the whole column by clicking on the column label. And we see the selected total sales for that column, for that rainbow color printer, almost 1 million. It's great, superb. And I can see all the details, all the data points related to who did we sell it to. It's really interesting. Click away to deselect. I can lasso an area and see all the data points related to that lassoed area, which are summed in total, and I can pull them down to inspect. I can also click on a legend value, in this case a customer, and see the total value for Parameter Technology sales for the period, almost 2 million sales. Wow, we've done really well. And inspect the data points if I wanted to. I don't want to now. and we click away to deselect. I can also zoom in, and I can also zoom by control and scroll in, out. Let's zoom into a particular part of the chart and then pan around. Zoom out. Okay, let's go back to resize the chart and focus on the fact that we have now worked with the sales by item by customer view, but we made changes to it. We've changed it. It was originally my favorite, the heat map, but we've changed it to this stack column chart. And any change we make is identified by the system, whether it's a filter or sorting or chart type change. And we can see that we have changed the original view by the presence of this asterisk next to the view. Now, if I wanted to, I could go along and just save this as another view or save it over the existing view. But there's another option I've got. I can also save it. I can save it as a tile on the home page. So let's do that. Let's save it as a tile on the home page. And it's going to be sales by item by customer. And you see the tile is populated as I enter data in the preview at the top. Stacked column chart. And I want to select which part of the home page. I'm going to put it in the My Home section. Press OK. Changes have been saved. And we go back to the home page. And we look at the My Home section at the end. Sure enough, here's the tile, sales by item by customer, stacked column chart. And that brings me to the end of what I wanted to share with you today about the list view screen analytics functionality. And let's just recap. The list view screen currently works with all the main AR documents, and also with the item master data, with the business partner master data, and activity screens. In addition, if you have created any user-definable tables, UDTs, and user-definable objects, there will automatically be a list view associated with each UDT and each UDO in the system. They will all be available. They're all currently available now within the web client environment. So that's the list views. The list views relate to both SQL and SQL and HANA environments as well. I now want to show you what we call the analytics functionality in the web client. So we're moving down to the analytics section. And in the analytics section, we have a set of tiles here that open up various screens. And these screens are all related to cubes of data, created cubes of data. And we have pairs of screens, an overview screen and a chart screen for each individual cube of data. So we just saw the overview and the chart tile for the sales analysis by rows cube, and we have multiple cubes here. We have sales analysis by document, customer overview and chart, purchase analysis overview and chart, purchase analysis by document overview and chart, vendor, inventory status, and financial analysis overview and chart. That's a very important one because that relates to or gives us access to analyze all our journal entry, our general ledger data. And we have these pairs of screens, the chart and overview screen relating to each underlying cube of data. Now, fundamentally, the difference between our analytics cubes and our list view screens, there are two differences. The list view screen works, as I said, for both the SQL and HANA environments. These cubes currently are only available within the HANA environment. A second difference is that within the cubes, we have a concept of date aggregation. So instead of just looking at the data split by, say, invoice date, we can look at our invoice information split, but grouped by month or grouped by year or by quarter or by week and so on. So we have data aggregation. Let's open up the charts, the same concept for all of these charts and all of these overview screens. We're going to focus on the sales analysis by rows chart. Let's open that one up. And here we see a very similar looking chart to the list view chart. So it works in almost the same way. And let's have a look at, pull down the measure field, and we can see all the measures available for us to select. One difference here between the analytics chart and the list view screens is that we can select multiple measures here, and currently we have two measures selected. One is the net sales amount, the other the gross profit. For the moment, we're going to turn off the gross profit, so we're going to just see the net sales amount for the period. There we go. We're going to, and we look at the dimensions now, and we see a whole host of dimensions that are available in this query, from branch data to project to item group, inventory group, business partner group, posting year and month, posting year and week, posting year and quarter, and so on. And we have the two dimensions. We're going to select a second dimension. And in selecting the second dimension, we're currently looking at a line chart. A line chart is not always appropriate. Not every type of chart is appropriate for the data that we have selected. So we're going to select a stack column chart, and we can see the net sales by month, by business partner. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the posting date filter, press go, and we can see it updates the data, and we'll get a much more intensive view of the data because we're looking at many more months. And we can see that all the functionality that related to the list view chart also relates to the analytics chart. And that basically is the chart. So now let's have a look at the overview screen. Now what the overview screen does for a particular cube is it shows us multiple cards. Each card is a different configuration of the analytics chart. So each card is a mini presentation of the analytics chart screen that we were just looking at. And we can navigate to the analytics chart screen that we were just looking at by pressing on the header of any card. Let's do that here. And it will open up the chart with all the parameters of the card that we just came in from. And once we're in the chart, we can play around, we can change the filters, we can change the chart type. And when we were done, we can go back again, and we come back to the overview screen. And all the functionality that we've already seen that works within the charts within the list view screen and the analytic chart screen also works within the cards of this overview screen. So we can select multiple points and see the total selected and the data points related to them. Click away to deselect. We can zoom, control, scroll, zoom, zoom, zoom. And we can do the same zoom on the other chart card. We can select a column label, see the total. And we can select the legend and see the total for the customer groups. Pull down the data and inspect the data. And there's another type of card here which shows us it's a list, it's a table view of the chart. And this particular table view is showing us the top 20 item sales. If we open up the chart from this table card, We open up the chart in the table view. I did not show you that to you yet, but let's have a look at it now. Here is a chart, and this is the table view of the chart, showing us the total sales for the items in descending order. So you're seeing the top sales item at the top. And we can click on another chart type, say the column chart, and we see the descending, see the visual presentation of the descending sales. And we can also go to my favorite chart. And from the top left-hand side, we see the dark blue represents the hotter sales, descending gradually lighter and lighter blue as we move down and down and down. So let's come back to the overview screen. Okay, so we see at the top of the overview screen, we've got filters, and we can adapt filters for any of the filters of the underlying fields related to this particular cube. But what I want to show you is that if we were to change the filter here, we're going to go into the posting date and the date offset filter set for the posting date. We're going to change it to, instead of showing the last 3 full years data up until the end of the current months, we're going to start from the beginning of last year, change from -3 to -1, from the beginning of last year until the end of the current month. And we're going to press OK there. And when we press the Go button here, it will update, simultaneously update all of these cards. Watch carefully. There you go. And all the data has been updated simultaneously for all the cards. And that's the advantage of this type of screen. Now let's go into the bit that you've been waiting for, the editor, the designer, the card designer. And here we go into the editor screen, and we're now in edit mode. And I don't actually like this card on the top left. I'm going to get rid of it. Let's delete it. Off it goes. Goodbye. And we can move cards around. Let's move this one up to the top. Move this one around. That's better. I don't like this one. Go. Be gone. Go. Off you go. It's gone. This one, I don't want this one either. Let's go. Okay. Now, I could edit an existing card, but we are going to add a new card. Let's add this new card. Click here. And we move into the card designer window. And let's start designing the card, see how it works. So we're going to design sales quantity. That's going to be our new card. Let's give it a subtitle by inventory groups and customer groups. Let's give it a KPI header. And as we're going along, see on the left-hand side, the preview in real time updates with data as we enter in the parameters of this card. Now, the KPI value, we can select the KPI to be from any of the list of measures we have available, but it's currently on quantity. That's the one we want. So KPI value description will be set to total total quantity. And we're going to have my favorite chart, the heat map. Now we can opt to turn off or turn on the legend. We're going to keep it on. And we're not going to mess around with the sorting now. We'll keep the same sort order. The measure is correct on the quantity. Otherwise, we can select from other measures. And we're going to select the dimensions. The first dimension will be for the inventory groups, the item groups. And the second one for the customer groups, we're going to select the business partner group. There we go. And the preview is updating. And let's have a look at this preview card. I can get excited about it. It's looking just what I want. My favorite card. Let's add it. And there it goes. There it is. But I want to give it pride of place, my favorite card. It goes up to the top. And let's change things around a little bit more. Move that over there. And I think we are done. Yeah, let's finish the edit. Now, we can either save as a view, or we can save as a tile. And let's save as a tile. So we'll save this one as a tile again. So this is my key data overview. And I want it in the My Home section of the home page. Changes have been saved. Let's go out. Let's quit the screen, go to the home page. And sure enough, in the home page here, we see, when we move up to the My Home section, we see at the end of the My Home section, the key data overview tile. Let's click on it to open it. And there is my overview screen. Isn't that great? So what we're going to do now is we're going to open up the previous screen, the previous default that we opened before we started designing. Wouldn't it be nice if we could do some tinkering here? Let's open up something that I've done earlier, another view that was saved to present the first quarters of sales. And then let's open it up and you'll see instantly what I'm talking about. So we see, first of all, there's a total of 6.8 million for the period selected. And the period selected is for the first quarter sales of each of the 4-year periods. So for the last 3 years, we see the full quarter sales for 2017, 2018 and 2019. And for this year, we see our sales for January and February. We've only had 2 months and we're doing amazingly. Looks like it's going to be an amazing year. Wow, that's really, really good. And we note on the next card, the sales and profit by month, we see there are data points for the months related to the first quarter of each year. And in between, all the data points are 0. Let's zoom out, control and scroll. And we see that very vividly. Let's control and scroll on the next card. We see 4 columns for 4 quarters. So let's drill down to the sales and profit by month chart from the card, clicking on the header. And we see that the chart opens inheriting the date offset filtering related to that card that we came in from. And let's have a look at this date offset filtering. We see there's 4 items. If we hover over here, we'll see them. There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 different filter formulae. Let's go and have a look at it in a little bit more detail. We see we can select multiple filter formulae, date offset formulae, and we can put another one in, and as many as we want. Now, we're not going to analyze this specific date offset formulae here, but we'll come back to, as I promised, we'll come back to analyze it soon. We'll work through an example soon, but we can cancel out of that and come back again to the overview screen. I now want to show you something very exciting, the general overview screen. So you ready? Let's go. Let's open up the general overview screen. So here we see another overview screen. It looks very similar to the overview screen we were looking at a moment ago, but there are 2 fundamental differences. First of all of these cards come from different cube queries. So the first card comes from the sales query, the second one from the purchases, and then we have one from inventory, then we have one from the general, the financial one from the general ledger query. Then we have inventory and sales and more inventory and so on. So that's change number 1. Change number 2, you'll see at the top of the screen, we are missing the filter fields. And the reason why is because we are taking all of these cards from different analytic queries, from different analytic cubes. Each card has its own independent query set within it, and there is no meaning in having a global local filter set within it, and there's no meaning to be able to set filters globally for all of these cards because they all come from different queries. They've all got different fields related to them. So that's the fundamental difference between the two types of overview screen. You've got this is the general overview screen, and it allows us to put in cards from all of the existing cubes. Let me show you something I've done earlier. So let's open up a previous view, the last 4 full quarter comparison. It's an exciting view. And now let's just take in and absorb what we've got. So let's look at the first. We've got several layers here of cards, and we're going to look at the first level. We've got multiple levels. The first level is showing us the net invoice sales for 4 full quarters, going from quarter -4, that's 4 quarters ago, to 3 quarters ago, to 2 quarters ago, and to the last full quarter. And in the last full quarter, the sales were 1.8 million. You see in the chart in this card the monthly breakdown of that. And then two quarters ago, we had 1.9 million, 2.1 million and 3 quarters ago, and 1.5 million 4 quarters ago. So we see quarter by quarter what the sales were broken down by month. Let's move down a bit. Let's move down. And now we see quarter by quarter view of the business partner group sales. And we can see which business partner group did best in which quarter. Then we move down again and we see the performance of our salespersons per quarter. And something catches my eye here. I see, wow, in quarter -2, 2 quarters ago, Brad Thompson, he did sales of 615,000. He did fantastically. What a superb increase over the previous quarter, 3 quarters ago. Really, really did well. It's really good. And then we can scroll down again, and we can see the top item sales for the last 4 quarters. And look, we've got a clear winner, the PC Set 2, in both 2 quarters ago and 3 quarters ago. And let's scroll down a bit. I know you should be getting the idea now. We can scroll and scroll and scroll, and we can set this up to have as many levels that we want. In this particular case, in this particular overview screen, we're setting it up to have a quarterly view. It can be anything that you want. And within any of these cards, we can just click on the header, go back to the underlying chart related to it, and play around, as we've seen already several times, and we can play around with the chart and see whatever it is that we want to see. Let's go to the bit that you're really interested in again, the editor. Let's go into the designer mode, and we're going to look at that card that we drilled down into. So quarter -3 for net invoice purchases. And we see that in the general overview designer, there are 2 differences. The first difference is that we are able to select the data source. So we can select a data source, and here we see a list of 11 cubes that we can select as a data source from any one of these 11 cubes. In addition to selecting different data sources for each card, we can also adapt the filters by setting a local filter that applies to each card. And what we're going to do now, I promised you, we're going to come back now to discuss an example of the date offset concept in detail. So what are we talking about here? We want a date offset that will give us the from date and the end date that relate to the beginning and end of 3 quarters ago. So you ready? Let's go. So we're going to work out the from date. Now, the starting point when we work out a date offset is always the current date. Today is the 20th of February 2020. So the first statement here is quarter begin. We go back to the beginning of the quarter. So from 20th of February 2020, the beginning of the quarter, the 1st of January 2020. Then we go -1 year from the 1st of January 2020 brings us to the 1st of January 2019. Then we go plus 1/4 from the 1st of January 2019 brings us to the 1st of April 2019. So the 1st of April 2019 becomes my from date. 1st of April 2019. So ... Now let's work out the to date. So the to date, again, we start from today. Today is the 20th of February 2020. Go to the beginning of the quarter. We've done this already. The 1st of January 2020. Minus 1 year brings us to the 1st of January 2019. Now this time we're going to go through plus 2 quarters. 1st of January 2019 plus 1/4 is the 1st of April 2019. Plus another quarter, second quarter, brings us to the 1st of July 2019. So we're now on the 1st of July 2019, and we're going to say minus 1 day. That brings us to minus 1 day from the 1st of July 2019 is the 30th of June 2019. So our from date is the 1st of April 2019, and our to date is the 30th of June 2019. And there we have it. We've just set up it's actually a very simple formula to enter it. And once you've done it once, you save it. It's stored within the card. You set up your card, you set up all these cards, you do it once, and every time you open this screen, it will always give you information that is consistent and offset correctly from the date of opening. And that applies to any screen in which we've set a date filter. And that basically brings me to the end of what I want to share with you today. So with that in mind, I want to say thank you very much